Simulation versus real world. In our exploration of reality and its intricacies, one school of thought stands out, positing that we may, in fact, exist within a simulation. This notion, while audacious, invites contemplation and spurs the imagination into the realm of the extraordinary. By viewing our surroundings, our experiences, and indeed, our very existence as potentially simulated, we throw open the door to a plethora of questions, many of which defy our conventional understanding and rattle the very foundations of our perceived reality. Advocates for the simulation hypothesis argue that our world, with all its complex patterns and peculiar quirks, could be an elaborate façade crafted by a superior intelligence. This proposed reality, meticulous in its design and intricate in its execution, would emulate our world so accurately that we would remain oblivious to the truth, living our lives as if on a stage, unknowingly playing our parts in a grand play. This perspective, fascinating as it is, does not merely challenge our conception of reality, but also fuels a spirited debate on the nature of existence itself. In tracing the evolution of human understanding, we find ourselves shifting from one paradigm to another, as new insights and discoveries push the boundaries of our collective consciousness. Once, we envisioned the Earth as resting upon the back of a colossal turtle and elephants, an idea born from cultural mythos and limited scientific understanding. This symbolizes our unending quest for grounding our existence in a tangible reality, a place of solidity where the inexplicable might be tethered and made sense of. Fast forward to the modern age, our world has become deeply intertwined with the digital realm, the line between physical reality and virtual existence blurring more and more. With the proliferation of virtual worlds, it isn't surprising that we're beginning to perceive our own reality through a similar lens. The world we live in, once tangible and confined by geographical boundaries, now seems just as malleable and boundless as the digital realms we create. This shift in perception signifies not only the impact of technological advancement on human thought but also challenges our fundamental understanding of what constitutes reality itself. The notion that our world could be a virtual simulation is not a novel concept, but rather, it's a modern interpretation of ancient philosophical ideas. Historical narratives from various cultures, notably among the ancient Hindus, characterized our world as a grand illusion, a mere veil cast upon the ultimate reality. This is not just the realm of spiritual or philosophical contemplation. Even in the realms of neurobiology and cognitive science, a consensus has been growing that the world we perceive is largely constructed within our minds. This raises the thought-provoking question: if the world is indeed a construct of our consciousness, how important is our interpretation of it? While our interpretation gives meaning and context to our experiences, it is inherently subjective, shaped by our personal lens. If our perceived reality is essentially a personal simulation, does its nature as real or simulated truly matter? Or are these merely different ways of understanding the same phenomenon? This debate blurs the line between objectivity and subjectivity, leaving us to ponder the nature of our existence and the reality we perceive. The assumption that our world is a virtual construct can sometimes lead to the belief that we, as observers, serve as impartial analyzers of reality. However, this perception is flawed. It implies an ability to directly perceive and analyze the universe in its totality, as if our minds were detached observers. This perspective overlooks the fact that our understanding of the world is profoundly personal and heavily filtered through the lens of our individual consciousness. In truth, our conception of the universe is formed primarily, if not exclusively, within our minds. Our perceptions are not mere recordings of an objective reality, but rather subjective interpretations shaped by our sensory input, personal experiences, and cognitive processes. We do not directly capture the universe as it is, but rather construct a model of it within our minds. This challenges the idea of us as detached, objective observers and underscores the complex, intertwined relationship between our consciousness and the world we perceive. In the ceaseless pursuit of understanding our universe, we encounter surprises that shake the very foundations of established theories. One such instance has recently emerged with the findings from the James Webb Space Telescope. The observation of large, early galaxies, which appear too prematurely to align with the timeline proposed by the Big Bang Theory, has cast a significant shadow of doubt over this long-standing cosmological model. These galaxies, immense in size, seem implausible given the relatively short time span within which they were presumed to have formed. These findings resonate with the views of those who have long questioned the validity of broad cosmological generalizations, including the author of this book, who has previously argued against the Big Bang Theory's assumptions. This theory, once ardently defended by scientific traditionalists, now faces substantial scrutiny and skepticism. Those who once championed it now find themselves in a position of concession, admitting that their understanding of the universe's origins might have been flawed. This episode serves as a reminder of the ever-evolving nature of scientific understanding and the necessary humility in the face of the immense and complex cosmos. In the grand tapestry of existence, human beings often imagine themselves at the center, living within self-deceptive narratives and embellished representations of reality. The proposition that we might be so significant that a superior intelligence has created a virtual world solely for our existence can be seen as an extension of this anthropocentric perspective. Yet, the humbling reality is that we are limited by the constraints of our nature and the inherent unknowability of the universe. We exist within boundaries defined not only by our physical capabilities but also by the cognitive limits of our understanding. Maintaining an objective stance requires an acknowledgement of these limitations. To stay true to our quest for understanding, we must interpret and present what our brains perceive, without jumping to grand, universal conclusions. The unexplained should be recognized as such, and not be substituted with increasingly fanciful tales of a Big Bang or a presumed simulation in which we live. This is not a call to curb curiosity or halt exploration, but rather an invitation to approach our quest for understanding with humility, accepting the boundaries of our knowledge while we continue to push against them. Employing skepticism as our guiding methodology, we might assert that it ultimately matters little whether we exist within a simulation or not. If we do reside within a simulated universe, the presumption is that it has been meticulously constructed to prevent us from discerning its true nature. On the other hand, even if our universe is entirely natural, our capacity for pattern recognition and meaning-making can lead us to perceive it as a constructed entity. Indeed, each of us is a universe maker in a sense, constructing an internal representation of the world within the confines of our own minds. This individual universe, unique and personally tailored, is assembled from our perceptions, experiences, and interpretations. As for the nature of the actual universe, it remains elusive and unknowable, forever existing just beyond the reach of our comprehensive understanding. The real question then isn't whether the world is simulated or not, but rather, how do our personal constructions of reality shape our experience of existence? Nick Bostrom, a prominent proponent of the simulation hypothesis, astutely noted that a civilization capable of creating a simulated universe would only do so if they desired to. This caveat is indeed crucial. The aspiration to craft worlds and assume the role of an anthropomorphic god is a distinctly human ambition and might not necessarily be shared by other life forms or civilizations. We should avoid projecting our human-centric desires onto the potential motivations of advanced civilizations. One speculative scenario proposes that we might be the inhabitants of a simulation created by ourselves in the future or by a civilization similar to ours. Even now, despite our struggle to coexist peacefully on our planet, we demonstrate the capability to create virtual worlds. In these digital domains, we often replicate our primal brutishness and cruelty, reflecting not only our capacity for creation but also our propensity for conflict and violence. Whether this points to a future where we create more complex simulations that mirror our reality is an open question, yet it surely underscores our ability to bring both the beauty and beast of human nature into our creations.